about the American Jesus. We outbuild the president's estate.
Hey everyone, ChurchOfStfu. Today's video is entitled loosely Idealism Works, and it's kind of a response to TJ's Hate Week video on how he hates idealists. And I know he's just trolling, looking for a bit of reaction, but I thought it was a good time to bring up the topic because I think it's a position that many people share. Ideology and idealism have kind of picked up such negative connotations that anyone who's got any beliefs that the world could actually be a better place are apt to get abused. So to get definitions out of the way, we mean idealism, I guess, in the colloquial sense of the cherishing or pursuit of high or noble principles, purposes, goals, etc. And so when we're denigrating the idealist, that means we don't want people to pursue or cherish high or noble principles, purposes, or goals. So I guess that means that people can pursue their own happiness or possibly their desire satisfaction. So we can make hedonism our ultimate and only goal in this idealist-free world. But why are there so many of those pesky idealists around? Why throughout history have there been so many of us? You know, if it's obviously the thing about idealism is it's not usually something that really directly benefits yourself. So why can't people just shut up and be happy with the way things are? Just make the best of it. Thing is, we do have a term for the kind of person that would do that would just shut up and make the best of it and just denigrate people that are thinking of a better future. And that term is not realist. I mean, a lot of people want to contrast idealist with realist, but I don't accept that. I think the contrast to idealist is a conservative. It's someone who believes in the status quo, either in the sense that they believe it's undesirable to change the status quo, or in the case of the amazing atheist, they believe it's impossible to make any real progress towards changing the status quo. So, I think if you're not an idealist, then you're a conservative. Not in the political sense, but just in the original sense of the word. And the thing is, when you look at human history, whilst we have often taken 3 steps forward and then 2 steps back, so far, conservatives have never gotten their way. We've always made progress in the end. As I said, many people would contrast the idea of an idealist with the concept of a realist, because an idealist lives up in the clouds and a realist just wants to get things done realistically, supposedly. But what is the definition of a realist? It is a person who tends to view or represent things as they really are. But what are human beings really like? Human beings have a very progressive nature. Human beings want change for the better. Even those people that associate with the supposedly conservative right wing want change. They have their own idea of what change should look like compared to the left, but everyone wants to make progress. Human nature is not conservative. Human nature is, and again, not being political here, just in terms of wanting change, human nature is progressive. And so the realist, the person that understands how things really are, understands that idealism, the pursuit of higher goals, the wanting for betterment, is natural and inherent to human beings. And the thing is, it does not need to involve dogmatism. Just because you have a high goal or ideal doesn't mean that that can't be changed. Any goal or ideal can still be challenged and modified. Any goal, however cherished, can be challenged and abandoned, given sufficient evidence. And if one is such a person that looks for betterment, that has high goals and ideals, being aware that we won't achieve them overnight, but still striving for them, but also willing to take real-world evidence to modify those goals and ideals, then one is truly a progressive rationalist and a realist idealist in the truest sense of the word. The apathetic conservative, the what we could call douchebag hipster, will cry, "You can't change anything." But that really falters under close scrutiny. I mean, of course we can't change the whole world alone overnight. That much is obvious. But every action, every change, every interaction with another human being does change the world in whatever tiny way. And these changes, they're not just things that are temporary, things that affect the world in a very short term. I mean, just based on the laws of nature, we understand that these little changes will reverberate for the rest of time. And we might not be able to predict exactly what the consequences are, but we can try. And yes, our lives are making a real difference. Look at Gandhi, look at Martin Luther King, look at Hitler. They're all idealists who achieved things great or terrible. I'm not Martin Luther King, and neither are you. That's true. I'm certainly not as smart as many of the great people that did so much for the world, and I'm certainly not as charismatic. And even if you are, it still takes a lot of luck to be in that exact time and place where those values, those virtues, those abilities can actually get you into the position where you can make that kind of difference. Most Gandhis or Martin Luther Kings or Hitlers will never make that difference. They're not in that exact point in history. This is all true. But none of these people stood alone. They stood on the shoulders of popular movements that were open to their ideas, for better or, in the case of Hitler, for worse. Idealism can pave the way for great people, and it can hinder those with dark ideologies from raising their own champions to drag the world back those 2 steps. And even if we don't live to see the next great leader, the next great leap, the next big advance like the civil rights movement, where humanity really moves forward significantly, then we can clear the way. Or perhaps we can actually bring about a future where progress will no longer rely on great people, where it will just rely on the people. Yes, there are idealists whose unrealistic beliefs are unproductive dead ends. And there are those idealists whose moral arrogance frustrates those who challenge their ideology. But there are also those conservatives, those people that are unwilling to try for change, who share equally unrealistic beliefs. They think the world will never change, or that they can just not contribute at all. And they live their lives accordingly, smug in their own ideology of constancy and apathy. I choose to be a realist idealist. My ideals may be misguided, but I'm open to having them challenged. I'm aware that simply stumbling blindly through life with the hope that chance will sustain the world until I'm old and finally dead, that's the least realistic approach of all. If you don't stand for anything, then you're just not going to be counted. You'll just be one of the people whose lives were truly insignificant and unimportant. So yes, be an idealist. Be open to people that would challenge your ideals, and always be realistic about how much of your ideals you could possibly achieve. But all of that is no reason at all to stop being idealistic. As a matter of fact, the fact that there is no shortcut, there's no way that we can get from the world as it is today, with all of its faults, to the perfect tomorrow, it's all the more reason to be all the more hardworking in trying to push for a better world according to your own ideals. And if we all do that, and if we're all honest with ourselves, then the world will be better. I have no doubt about it at all. Anyways, this was Church of STFU. I will see you guys all later.